Yeah. Technical difficulties. We got it. I had
Forgot
a new
about
plan.
Mapuzo.
Yeah, I had a plan today. And this Making Star Wars show. I'm Jason Ward. You can be a channel member if you want to support the show. It can be super chats if you want to support the show. All that stuff. It's appreciated. But what I tried to do today was I was like, what if I play a song, then do the opening, then do it? That way there's like a bunch of crap before it goes to put us in. Maybe it'll work out better. And I feel like it did. I felt like it kind of gave us a little bit of a bumper and I wasn't
I think
starting. Yeah.
I think that's confirmation bias. You know.
Wow. Today, Tyrant has been a member for 16 months. Thank you, Tyrant. Even after all of the abuse Rob has given you, I appreciate it. Says,
Who's Tyrant? I'm a new guy, huh? Just signed up. You signed up for 16 months? Hey, welcome to the show.
Whoa. Disney is fine sacrificing content for a year. WB would cut off their arm to save their hand, and Congress holding alien hearings are normal. 2023. You're not wrong. You're not wrong about any of that. It all is wild. And we never did get to that UFO show. I tried. I started collecting for it. Just didn't have there was no angle to get me motivated because it was I felt the opposite. I felt demotivated. Is that a word? Demotivated? Whatever. I was like, everything is anecdotal. There wasn't anything in there that was firsthand. There was absolutely no evidence. It's just more really extraordinary claims without any evidence. More of that,
That's the same people that have no problem trying to incarcerate people who break Trump NDAs or warn people about the NSA, right? They love to throw those whistleblowers in jail, right? Yeah. But these ones they're cool with. You don't think that's a little weird? The same people? Huh.
Yeah, a little weird. I mean, supposedly you can break this one because Congress is ordering you to, I guess. I'm probably fudging that a little bit, but that's the gist of it. But in reality, if they, this person, what's his name? It's like Glush or something. I don't remember how you say his name, but he goes on to say, there's been stories of people who died or something like that, have been murdered, but I can't talk about that on the record, only in a closed session or whatever. But it's full. If you weren't bullshitting and you had anything real, you would have been killed when you went to the UFO conference. You would have died in a car crash if that was real. They wouldn't have let you.
To be fair, they mostly die from the stench. They mostly die from the stench. It kind of smells and a lot of chest hair and a lot of yeah. How about those crystal structures on the moon? Yeah. Well, I don't really even believe,
Watch out for the Mothman, Bob. He's coming for you. The Mothman.
Oh, yeah, Mothman. Biggins. Yeah. I like how Biggins just appears over the stage. Yeah. It's hilarious, dude.
Bob Lazar is the kind of guy that would make light up lingerie for his girlfriend, though. And the Mothman would see it and steal his girlfriend. I think we just wrote our next comic.
Well, I'm selling lingerie, but I don't believe me. I'd rather you not believe me about the aliens. Just leave me alone. That's what I like about him. He's not trying to, not trying to aggrandize. He's just like, fuck it, don't believe me. I got,
What's the Adam he said or whatever? It's like
Element 115.
Element 115. That's his lingerie line. It's called Element 115. It lights up. Mothman sees it.
Well, you could team up with what's her face from Aliens? Jeanette. No. She played the Hispanic. She's not Hispanic, but Jeanette Weinstein or Girlstein or whatever her name is. Jeanette. She was a Vasquez, right? She sells lingerie. She has a lingerie shop. Right. They should team up, right?
Unless she wants the Mothman eating all of her stuff. But anyway, there was this story the last couple of days, and I just want to get it out of the way.
Jeanette Goldstein, thank you.
Meg, I'm going to pick on if Meg's here today, I'm here to pick on Meg. Meg retweets Billy D and is like, "Uh-oh, big news," and has a winky face, almost like she knows something. And I'm like, Meg, it's a strike. What's he gonna say? He can't say anything, And Meg is like, "Oh yeah, you're right." She deletes the tweet. Then he comes out and he does it again, but he writes "May the Force be with you" and makes like, I'm all in on this. It means Billy D's back and he's playing Lando in a trilogy. And then it's this People magazine article. Star Wars actor Williams reveals cover of riveting, inspiring new memoir. So it's probably going to be a good read. The guy has had an interesting career and a lot of longevity, I'd say. So it's probably going to be a cool book, but not exactly news for at this moment.
We just had an 81-year-old Indiana Jones have his own movie, right? And everyone's like, too old. But immediately Star Wars fans go right to Lando, 89-year-old, 92-year-old Billy D. Williams should get his own trilogy.
Well,
wheel him out.
If they did Indy, Rob, why wouldn't they do Lando, right? I mean, that's the thinking.
Weekend at Lando's. Yeah, spent $400 million on this one, Just spend all the money. Just screw it. Just get real indulgent. Be like, hey, we could give you the $400 million to end the strike, but we're spending on the Lando trilogy. That's some CEO move right there. Stephen Amell would be proud, right, Jason? Yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys are readers, it might be worth picking up Billy D's book, especially because there ain't going to be anything original coming for quite a while after the drought. So you'll have time. Don't worry. There's this other little tidbit stuff. Like I said, this isn't stuff that's gonna make you go over the moon about anything. Marok, the Inquisitor, has a database entry edition. Obviously this stuff is all going to be pretty dry. Marok, Inquisitor. Once an Inquisitor hunting Jedi for the Empire, the mysterious Marok now works as a mercenary hired by Morgan Elsbeth to carry out dark deeds.
Done dirt cheap.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Fully encased in a battered battle armor, the warrior still carries a red double-bladed saber with a circular hilt. So, and there you have it. I personally have not been super impressed with the look of this one. I find it looks like concept art from episode 7 to me, to be honest with you.
Or it looks like the Circus Olay version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, right?
It does have a little bit of that, yeah. I see what you mean with all of like, I don't know, what is that, ridges, like ruffles? But
right,
yeah. So it is what it is, though. My kid thinks it's rad, and I guess that's who it's for. So cool. And then Morgan Elsbeth has one, and it says Magistrate Morgan Elsbeth, and you can see here with their homies in the back. The cold-hearted former magistrate of Calodan, Morgan Elsbeth is an ally of Grand Admiral Thrawn and an enemy of the New Republic. A formidable fighter with a mysterious past. She's a witch. Elsbeth once hunted Ahsoka Tano on the world of Corvus before she was bested in battle and arrested for acting as an Imperial sympathizer. So with that, I think we get part of one of the little mysteries solved here. Who are the mercenary Jedi breaking out on that opening sequence? Remember how we see the ship docking with the Republic cruiser and all that, and like the Mon Call guys like, oh, we're gonna shoot my pants, we're fucked. Remember that part? Right. It's clearly, I'm going to assume Shin, Hottie Kashila Hottie, and what's his name, Beardo, going to bust her out. Makes sense.
It's a technicality, but since we're dealing with arrested and laws here and Imperial sympathizers, so I'm assuming we're getting very little legally here, a little political, right? Technically, Luke Skywalker's an Imperial sympathizer because he saved Darth Vader. He wheeled him right out of there. You know what I mean? He was like, I don't know, like that's why I do think the whole basis for Bloodline should have been the basis for undoing, the events of the original trilogy, right? The basis for the sequel trilogy. Hey, Darth Vader's kids are running the galaxy. Like, but no, it didn't go down like that. Yeah, how well you think that's gonna go? In a Hunter Biden laptop-like galaxy, how well is Darth Vader's kids are running the galaxy gonna go?
I know. Not to go on like a tangent about that, but like every time I engage with politics, I just get some weirdo coming at me about Hunter Biden. I'm like, put Hunter Biden in jail too. Let Trump and Hunter Biden fuck each other in prison.
Right.
I'm cool with it. Let them all go to prison if they broke the law.
Yeah.
Bye.
And Bill Clinton. Put them all in there, right? We're all cool with it.
Rob, Biden. Huh? Get it? Biden? All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do it. But yeah.
And Luke and Leia lock their asses up too, right? Fucking Vader's kids, right?
Put them both in prison. Nepo babies. Get the fuck out of here.
You imagine if they had to break Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia out of jail?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there would have been a movie, right? You know?
I mean, what would the charges be? Incest? People did
sympathizers.
You know what? So Han Solo, did you see the defendant kiss her brother? I did.
I did.
I can't lie.
I kind of like watching, so you know.
I can't lie in front of Chewbacca. I can't do
it. You know what a nerf herder really means?
Fucking honest man. That's what I've always been. Oh shit.
I just took the money and wanted to. Yeah, I didn't know they were Hitler's kids. I just wanted my money. Boom.
So they aren't outright admitting that she's a witch or that she's a night sister or that she is of that lineage. We could see it more in the colors that she's wearing and the hair and the little like forehead tattoo-y thing. So we're seeing signs of it, but they're just saying she has a mysterious past. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this is just conjecture on my part. I'm going to say she's not a night sister in the traditional sense anymore. I'm going to say she's just like all of these other fuckers. These Jedi, those guys aren't Jedi. You can't be a Jedi and a mercenary at the same time. Now, you could say you are. You could use that to market yourself as a mercenary.
Chase.
But you can't be a mercenary.
West End Games says I can be both, right? You can just write that down in the occupation. Mercenary, Jedi.
Yeah, I'm like I'm kind of like a satanic Christian. Like what? You know what I mean? It's like philosophically, it doesn't line up.
Okay, now roll for initiative.
Oh shit! I got it. Snake eyes. Is that a bonus or am I just screwed?
It's a D it's a 6D system, so you got to roll like 53 dice.
Well, only likes GI Joe, so if you get that, he gives you a bonus. But anyways,
I'm more of a Silverhawks kind of guy. Really, I like Silverhawks.
I remember watching Silverhawks during a huge earthquake in like '88, I think. Yeah, all the stuff fell off the walls and everything. I didn't have to go to school. It was pretty cool.
Well, Mama Filoni won't let me watch them Thundercats because you know what I'm saying. You get a little
yeah, because you act like a kitty. You lick your paws.
But I can watch the Thunderhawks. Okay, I gotta get back. I gotta go watch it.
Right. Okay. So the data bank for Old Man Thrawn talks about rebels kind of. When Governor Price of Lothal wanted a stronger commander to dismantle the rebellion, the Empire answered with Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn was a male chiss with striking blue skin, red eyes, and an angular face. Known for his brilliant strategic mind and ruthlessness, he was determined to pull the rebels apart piece by piece like tender fried chicken. Okay, it didn't.
He's a compassionate conservative, Jason.
Oh no, Santa!
It's like Sherlock Holmes meets General Schwarzkopf. All right, that's enough, Santa.
Do you think like at the end the Chiss show up? I mean the Grisk show up, and he goes "Chiss my ass," and he hits a button and like the laser fires. And that's how it ends. Like, oh shit! He said "Chiss my ass."
He said, kiss my grist, Jason, know what I'm saying? Or kiss my grist, you know? Yeah, kiss my grist.
He's like, I am reforming the Empire. It will now be called Empire X. Yeah?
Oh, no. I didn't get that. I got to go get that on GoDaddy. Hold on, I'll be back.
Oh, shit. He's still on.
Yeah, he puts up a big Thrawn sign on his Star Destroyer and just wheels it around and annoys all the other Imperials, you know? It's like the light is just blaring through all the windows and the other Star Destroyers. Yeah.
Right. And this guy in the corner, that's just little Tony. He's cool. Little Tony's cool. So, you know,
he's great.
Little Tony's always like,
Look.
hey, Thrawn, maybe we should just chill the fuck out and enjoy our post-war lives. And Thrawn's just like, kiss my ass. All right.
It's just my ass.
I won't say it again.
Just
I
my
promise.
ass.
All right.
I just think general price of Lothar is as come on, man. You know, like if that were a line in the opening of the Phantom Menace, people would have been complaining. Like I know fans love their lore, but it's kind of a ridiculous line.
let's give a little bit of credit where I feel like Rob specifically is pretty hard on the costumes made in SoCal, and I think this one looks really good actually. Like when
I like the modeled surfaces, right? The modeled armor. Yeah, I like that.
I like that the cut of the cloth and like how it's. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, how it looks neat.
It's called ribbing. For her pleasure.
Ribbed for Sith's pleasure.
Yeah.
And then so Balin's Skull. Balin's Skull is a lightsaber wielding mercenary for hire, overseeing his apprentice Shin Hati. But make no mistake. Although there was a time when,
for the record, John wanted to call her Hottie. I wasn't for that. I thought it was too on the nose. Know what I'm saying? But he just insisted, so we had to do it.
Actually, I heard you kept calling her little Shoddy, and they misheard you, and they wrote that down, and now that's the name. They just figured it was.
I was saying take a Shoddy every time you say Hottie, and then it just became a thing. So we can't help ourselves.
But make no mistake. Although there was a time when Skull knew the acclaimed Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, Balin is no Jedi. Now allied to Morgan Elsbeth, the former magistrate of Calodan. All of the Jedi and the Empire, Skull remains a shrewd fighter in search of power who believes that another war is inevitable.
Well, he's like, it is called Star Wars, bitch. You know, like, oh, you got me there.
Signed on to a 2 series and a movie, so I know this much.
2 series, a movie, and 6 tone poems. What the fuck is a tone poem? So when Favreau starts writing those tone poems, then you'll see what I've been complaining about for the last 2 years. Like,
Hottie, Shoddy. Little tiny Dottie. Well, no, we can't.
Her name is Hottie, guys. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Like,
I mean, you know, Elon Sleazebagano, you know, there we go. So
I'm not complaining.
Caleb, I could hear your silent command in my brain and ask, is Shin a Night Sister too? And I don't believe that was in the cards, at least originally or off the bat. But with the death of the actor who plays Balin Skull, what is going to happen? You know, if will she end up just being like sort of a Ventress character? Because I do kind of see her as potentially being Ventress, essentially, who was first a Sith wannabe. Then she gets fired, and then she becomes a Night Sister. And then after the Night Sisters are killed by Count Dooku, and she's like the last one.
Yeah,
she goes.
You got to devote a whole 3 episodes to this, just so people understand. Then you can start the series.
Well, no, I mean, her that character though goes through a really fun like thing when you're just watching it like organically happen in that living era as it's unfolding. It's fun, and but in this kind of like layout right here, if the things I've heard about them resurrecting stormtroopers and shit and like, you know, tying things around them and then getting back up to life and it's true or is accurate. I know it's true, but if how accurate it is, if it's totally accurate, as the story goes on, you would have to imagine that she would probably end up gravitating towards her. So that could be in the cards for the future, for a different version of that, some new kind of, you know, hybrid kind of thing. But as far as I know, and as far as what the data bank is telling us and so on, that's not the case. But we will look at her data bank now. And there she is. Shin Hati, the eager apprentice of Balin Skull. Shin Hati is adept at lightsaber combat, a skill she uses in their work as mercenaries allied to Morgan Elsbeth, the former magistrate of Calodan. They say that like every fucking time. They used Morgan Elsbeth, the Magistrate of Caladan like in every single one because it's a lot of characters and allows you to say fucking nothing. But seemed like you gave a little paragraph, a really really little paragraph, but still a paragraph. So
Man, she looks like a gelfling to me. I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Crazy.
It turns out people that look like gelflings in real life are pretty attractive overall.
You putting that on your Tinder?
Yeah, I'm looking for a gelfling. Aria says,
"What if one shows up like an actual gelfling, like a puppet? God. And you're like, how do I get around the strings? Like,
it's like the most attractive person I've ever been with, but I can't stand her because she's a fucking nerd." But anyways,
I felt her up, but just because she's made of felt. Like, yeah.
There's a dark crystal strapped to her. What is that? Anyways, Aria says Balin didn't die in the end, right? I wonder what excuse Filoni will give for Balin not being there in the future. Yeah, that's like a really big question. And remember, like the actor died during the strikes. So I would imagine there's a lot of like maybe to them some obvious paths that they could take. And I think that those paths are probably like, deep fake him and have him die early, or have the character perish early on. There's ways of writing people out there. They could also recast at the end of the day. That's also possible. But yeah, as far as they
should just recast this. This whole like one actor can only play the character forever is ridiculous. Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan. They didn't de-age or try to make a CGI Alec Guinness. You know what I mean? And offense, he can act like Alec Guinness, but no one's ever looked at Alec Guinness and been like, is that Ewan McGregor? No, it's never happened, Jason.
I'm surprised ridiculous. If it was Leah Thompson, you would be confused, but
I would be confused, Jason.
You would be confused.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm with you, but I also go down the road of if there's no real plan for the character, if they just invented it and don't have nothing planned, then just stop planning for the character and just bring some.
100%.
I
mean, you were fine with them recasting Marty McFly's girlfriend with Elizabeth Shue, right? Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, I would.
And they didn't do shit with her. They just knocked her out and then had his mom be his girlfriend in the third movie. Fucking weird, right, Jason?
As a kid, I was in love with Elizabeth Shue. Like I would watch. Like,
I get that.
Babysitting like all over and over again. But when I watch Back to the Future now, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like the first Jennifer now.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like her overacting, the shticky bit. The
Elizabeth Shue kind of going like,
when she does the hands, the whole thing,
a lot of that like era of acting had like 1 foot in TV, 1 foot in film, and you're kind of like, I get it though. But Balin didn't die. And to the best of my knowledge, the show originally ended with all of the bad guys and Morgan Elsbeth and everybody basically meeting Thrawn, and Thrawn coming down and looking at all of his forces and his gang of ruffians and being like ready to rock. You know what I mean?
And then it ends. See you in 2 years, bitch. That'll be fun.
And then
I said that worries me, Jason. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's gonna start later. Hope you come back.
So I'm hoping I'm hoping I'm not cursing myself here, but I don't think I can, but there is always a chance that if that gets moved into something else, I do believe it's going to happen in the show. I think it's like almost the only way to capstone the show, because the good guys fell to stop the bad guys from like returning. The good guys lose. This is slight conjecture on my part, but I think what's going to happen at the very end, I haven't got a fucking firm yes, but I believe the good guys lose at the end. But the kind of happy ending for the fans is that we end up seeing Hera, Jason Syndulla, all of the rebels people that that survived besides Kanan reunited with Ezra by the end of the show. So it's like the family's back together, but the world's fucked. So, and then, that's the hope kind of concept to go on to the next chapter. So I think it's going to be a mixed ending. In just like Empire Strikes Back is in that certain way. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as Empire, but you end up with our buddy lost, but then you have Han, Luke, Leia, Han and Leia and the droids together on the ship, and they're like talking to Lando and Chewbacca, and like there's a plan, that there's like hope for what's going to happen next, even though it's a downer ending. So I think it's going to kind of probably have that vibe, but that's conjecture.
It just needs to feel complete, because if it feels like they just cut it off for then you're going to be, it's not going to go down well with average fans. I mean, the diehards will be like, I love it, I get it, but
yeah,
they're not going to know why it's so important. You can keep telling them, but unless there's like, I just hope it shows why Thrawn's a threat and not they just keep telling you he's a threat. He's really a threat. He's really a threat. So
I was just about to pick on Dan the Man a little bit, and then he literally said the next thing that I was going to say that people keep doing. And and I'm going to say, Dan the Man, by all means, speculate for fun all you want, because I get it. Like, I understand where you're coming from. He says, so I had this theory that Baylan Skull is actually Terran Bellicose, just under a different name. And then goes on to say, is Shin the canon Mara Jade? And so on like that. The thing is like over the years, since the prequels, like this has been like a mindset and like a speculative kind of thing that fans do. And it never, ever, ever ends up being that. There's like never been like that kind of thing that like we think it's going to be this one character, and then the mask comes off and it's really Thrawn the whole time or something like that. Or like it's so far that's never ever happened. So like my like natural betting tendency is just to say absolutely not. But then again, when you look at it, since it's been pretty much true since the prequels, that's never been true. That's never happened. I guess it's bound to happen eventually, But I kind of think Mara Jade is something that is unlikely to be brought back through the Filoni avenue, just because of how seriously Filoni takes Lucas's approval. And if you bring Mara Jade into it, they could keep it as far away from marrying Luke as they want.
No, he suggested this once in 2007, Jason, and I gave him a swirly for 30 minutes in the Lucas Ranch, John. Yeah.
Let me tell you guys.
I like to call it the John Knoll, but yeah.
Oh, it gives you little red marks all over your tummy.
Yeah.
It's bad. It hurts.
He came out looking like a conehead when I got done with him, so he learned.
He's like an alien made of white Brillo pads. It just hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No Mara Jade. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go eat breakfast. I'm a diabetic.
1:30. All right. Anyways.
Well, yeah. I know.
So, Ari asked, do you suspect we see Thrawn in the first 2 episodes? And like, so this becomes like almost like Santa's game. Thrawn shows up, and then you just get it right if they show his blue face once.
And Santa erasing it from the questionnaire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grumble, grumble, ho, 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 grumble, grumble.
I almost think that he wouldn't be important until the middle of the show. Is that's where my brain is at, but I don't know for certain, but also remember that it appears that they filmed the Rebels epilogue in live action to reiterate things. And when you get that, do you skip Thrawn and make it where we save Thrawn for that, or do you show Thrawn then and then have people question if he's even alive out there? Because it's a weird mystery, because he's all in all the trailers and shit. We know he shows up. So I'm just gonna bet right now that he's in the prologue to the Ahsoka series, and then we probably don't see him very much.
What if they run a prologue that's 3 minutes? Like it just tells you all the stuff from Rebels. Like it just goes through all of it.
Right? They might. I mean, I honestly think it's going to feel like that in reality. Probably like 30 seconds. You know what I mean, or something.
Right.
But it depends. And then because like we've seen how they did it with Kenobi. They used montages of old things that were a real well. Actually, this
Well,
goes into our next thing kind of well here actually. So, and I'm gonna jump over to it. So the thing that
mhm, mhm.
I am maybe proposing is that what if they took what they did with Kenobi, which had to tell a lot more story when you really get down to it. Um, but the problem is Rebels is a cartoon. It's not live action. It's a different medium. So what if they just took those? What if Filoni took the Rebel stuff, edited it like that, and then shot it? And that could have been his method. And right here we learn in this Hollywood Reporter article about Ahsoka some of what Filoni did. And Hollywood Reporter says a still new trailer for Ahsoka dropped today, and overall, the series has been described as Rebels Season 5. I believe you quoted Dave Filoni as saying that. For those who haven't seen a frame of Rebels, will the show still hold our hands throughout the season? And then the Ahsoka actor goes on, Rosario Dawson goes on to say, "Oh my goodness, yes, Natasha Leo Bordizzo said something to that effect, and there was some fanfare about it. But it's important with Star Wars fans. There's folks who really just watch the films, but now, and especially with the Mandalorian, more and more people are watching the live action shows." And then there are people who watch the animated shows, like me. Then there's even a tier beyond that with all the books and fan fiction. I don't know if I would have went so far with the fan fiction, but anyways, there's different levels to the Star Wars family. Okay, that's fair. And it's always been roughly highly considered to make sure everyone can watch it. Dave has done a really brilliant job in knowing the universe so inside and out, and having created so many of the characters and spaces within that universe, he just knows where to start. He knows what needs to be alluded to. And he is really brilliant at figuring out how to make it for both. So it made a big impact and a big difference having him on set. We filmed in tandem the whole time. It was a 6-month shoot, and it probably would have been a year had we not had different crews filming multiple different episodes at the same time. So it was a lot.
That's how everything's shot, though.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I last
I know what she means, but that's
yeah,
everything has a first
yeah,
80, second 80, third.
sure. Also, don't forget too that they were also filming Skeleton Crew at the same time in the same
Well,
areas, and then
the
and then also, and this means that it's impossible they filmed Acolyte in 8 months. Rob, that's what you need to understand. Remember those guys? I'm like, they filmed Acolyte for 8 months. Yeah, they didn't do it. They didn't get anything done in
8 months
8 months.
is an insane and long amount of time for
That's
shooting anything like that.
yeah, yeah. That's
Movies sometimes some movies get done in like 4 weeks. Like, guys are so stupid.
they're so dumb.
Yeah, I know. I found out. I was looking at the cinematographer on Dead Reckoning. He did all the action stuff on Rogue One. He
Yeah.
directed. Like he was the guy who was in charge of not. I mean, actual directing. Like in the way that Frank Marshall did Second 80 or whatever on, the Indiana Jones movies. Same
I
deal.
heard that Acolyte is sharing a prison cell with Blade for tax evasion. So that's what I heard.
You mean you mean Danny Trejo?
Oh, is he in trouble
Sad to
too?
say.
That's
Yeah,
too bad.
yeah, yeah. I love Danny, but met him
Maybe
once.
sell that
Super
ranch
nice guy.
car. Yeah, sell that ranch car.
Yeah.
We
So
filmed
I
in
rank car.
tandem. We filmed in tandem the whole time. It was a 6-month shoot, and it probably would have been a year had we not had two different crews filming multiple different episodes at the same time. So it was a lot, and it was constantly being jumbled around. But Dave made pre-vises or pre-animations of the entirety of each episode. So Dave isn't dropping his background in animation and he's using that for previs is the point. He brought that over from his animation work, but he wouldn't let us really watch it. So I didn't see anything of Ahsoka either, but that's not surprising. It's a very weird project to be a part of, and it's one of the biggest things. So they're like, see nothing, say nothing. But Dave had it down, and then the different directors kept that connection. So right
I
there,
tried to train him on yellow legal notepad paper, but he prefers to use Trapper Keeper with the Lamborghini one. I don't like the Lamborghini one. I'm more of the rainbow with the horsey. Yeah, yeah, but he
you
likes the
are
Lamborghini. Yeah, yeah, I like the rainbow with the horsey.
Hey George, we got some super chats. George, we could get Chinese buffet tonight.
Oh.
George,
Oh, all right. I'm salivating.
Yep, get you a Diet Coke.
All right, let's. What do you want? What do you want?
So thank you for the super chat and supporting the show. Once again, thank you to Tyrant as well for the 16 months of being a channel member. For the love of Star Wars, $10 super chat says, y'all are awesome. You think, or y'all think they change movie dates? Ray movie to the May 22nd, 2026, Mando or Ahsoka 2 movie to December 18th, 2026, then move the original Heir to the Empire movie to December 17th, 2027. So that right there is the big thing that my article was essentially getting at. I guess my deep thesis is not that deep, and is that nobody actually knows. But if
I know, I bought it. I bought it back.
George, right. George, you didn't. George, you bought Star Wars on Vudu. You own it in 4K now. That's all.
But I paid in Disney bucks. How do they know?
Because you're a big stockholder and you get gift cards sometimes, bud. You don't own Star Wars. Stop telling those channels that they believe you.
Are you sure? All right, well, I can make the movies with AI now. I can just type in Anakin does stuff and kills kids, and it can do it for me.
George, senile ain't just a river in Egypt.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you got that from True Lies. I love that movie.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
No, but what we do have is there's just not enough time to make things work. That's what they're all afraid of. And it looks like they're going to be pushing this into the next year. Now, some people believe the strike will end in October when they meet. And I nobody knows that. It could happen. That's the next opportunity for it to end. If it does, in my opinion, everything will go as planned. Some people will, like poor Dave Filoni, will be overworked, unfortunately, and have a rough little patch there of working his ass off.
How do you? I mean, Jason, we've all seen. Remember when Peter Jackson started the Hobbit movies and he was like all thin? And then by the end of Hobbit movies, it wrecked him.
Whoa, get on thing here. When we started the prequels, George Lucas was 130 pounds wet.
You got me right.
The prequels, he's a good 200 pounds, probably.
It's a lot of Starbucks. We got visual confirmation of this. Like,
Callum had a whole lot more hair as well.
He did. He did. Mm-hmm. So I just I know when people go, Filoni should be in charge of Lucasfilm and he should make everything. I'm like, he's one dude, man. And he does our show, which is crazy. I don't know how the man has enough time today. So you got to be like James Cameron. You got to get 5 writers and make the studio take 7 years to do something. That's how you do it.
Yeah, when people have that fantasy, like Dave Filoni takes over Lucasfilm and stuff like that. Number one, I'm always like, he's a creative first and foremost. He's not going to prosper being Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think.
Can you imagine storyboarding during a meeting about, you know what I mean?
I don't know Dave Filoni. I've met him many times, over the years. And my impression of the guy, just my impression was he would not be happy being Kathleen Kennedy. But that said, the only way I could see it going that way is if he had people who worked under him who he could explain his vision to, and that they could execute it in a way where he could feel like he was in that place. But we've seen we haven't seen that kind of dynamic come into play here, and I don't know if he's been in power, I would say, long enough for that dynamic to come into play. That's just a reading of it. But I think
we should just put Joby Harold in charge of Lucasfilm, right?
Well, what's gonna happen, in my opinion, is if they are able to get out of the strike area in the first quarter of 2024, I think the Rey movie will likely still happen, whether it's good or not. That's my reading. And then the problem becomes, what do we do about the television shows Star? You know what I mean? And on that story I had yesterday, the Star Wars leaks people just stole my whole article, just pasted it verbatim now they're just still in the work outright, just doing it that way.
Assholes.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't free for me to go to Burbank in Los Angeles and go out to drinks with these people and stuff to do this work, but they don't care. But for the love of Star Wars, I mean, send our super chats. Thank you so much, because that helps.
Those magic muffins ain't buying themselves, Jason.
That was only $4.99, buddy. I went on a bad trip for $5. I didn't even want to go on. But anyways, yeah. So in my opinion, the Rey movie probably sticks where it's at. And the problem is that it's not just Star Wars. That's where the issues, I think, arise. Like, for Star Wars, is that, like, in theory they could just like juggle this any way that they wanted. But that's not true. Kathleen Kennedy has made it sound that way before. Like, we're going to eventize Star Wars. It'll come out when it's ready. Just deal with it. And it's like, that's not true, because Star Wars can only come out when Marvel and Avatar aren't coming out, or there's a negotiation that must happen.
Barbie 2.
Barbie 2 to make that scheduling work and stuff. So it's not really that easy, but I am also kind of the opinion that the 3 Star Wars movies in the time allotted isn't necessarily like the greatest idea. And Filoni obviously wants to do a theatrical film. This is his chance finally to bat in the majors, if you will. And he wants to go up and do it. And it feels like everything is going against it because of the strike. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Old Iron Jim Cameron wanted to make a movie underwater once, and you got to be really careful about what you're passionate. It can end up being your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that Abyss film that, he wanted the whole movie under, 40% of the movie was literally shot underwater. It's just like, to do that. And then, I mean, it's just tough. I know everything seems like a natural through line sometimes. You're like, this guy should do that and that guy should do this. It's like, yeah, but how much can you do? I mean, Favreau, of all people qualified to helm a big Star Wars movie and get it done, technically he's the dude, right? And even he's like, no.
Well, and that's like the other side of this is like number one, Favreau's not on the Rey film, obviously, but he's on the Filoni film. And I don't know. I don't think Filoni would be comfortable going out like Favreau could go out. Favreau has, I guess, nerves of steel. I think the back of the Phantom Menace package for Anakin said he has nerves of plastisteel. Remember that? But
I remember in PCU with the haircut, they had those dread haircut. Remember?
Oh yeah. But yeah. But when we just talked about Dave Filoni pre-visiting everything out using cartoons. I didn't get to this part of the article, I already closed it, but in that article it goes on to say that he used the table read dialogue from them for the pre-viz dialogue even. So he was using all of that stuff and putting it together, and then he had like sort of like what he needed. So he's a guy who comes in pre-prepared. He doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy who comes in and says, let's see what's going to happen and write the scene now.
What if,
But
what if, Jason, what if they just cut together footage from Rebels and then have Gen 3 AI turn it into live action so they don't have to do anything? It just references the animation and then turns it into actors.
I'll tell you how the negotiations go. I'll let you know in about a week. There's a rumor that or there's supposedly SAG is ready to wants to talk, and that they're going to be talking with SAG. I don't think the SAG stuff will go on.
Is Stephen Amell going to go speak for them? So he's either a dude. Hey, we got another super chat here, buddy.
Oh yeah. We'll get to it. But that guy clarified even further, saying like, hey, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, he did. He just got caught. yeah. You meant what you said the first time. There's not a lot of room for wiggle room in that one. I just don't agree with striking, but I support. Yeah, Come on, like that's what you meant.
Back to something.
Right.
And then he says at the end, then move the original Heir to the Empire movie to December 17th. So the 2027. The thing about that is like you have
Avatar.
that. Well, you also that's when we have the or that third film is supposed to be the Mangold film, and from what
3030.
I from what
2030.
from what I understand, it's been really bad about Indiana Jones. I don't think it's hurting Mangold. The calls around that budget were going to happen regardless of Mangold. So point being, I still think the Mangold movie happens. They were still happy with Indiana Jones as a piece of art. Critically, they are able to look at it and go, "This is not a terrible film." So he didn't deliver he delivered what they paid for, is the point. So nobody knows what's going to happen is the point. That could go that way. I saw somebody calling me a liar, that I'm stupid, that it must
Sorry,
that they
that
would
was
just
me.
do a short season. And it's like you know, and I'm just like, it doesn't solve the time issue. It
Doesn't solve the time issue, right?
And then the other side of it is yeah, just like, but also in my article, I went like 15 times and I said, like, nothing is happening right now. No choices can be made. Filoni and Favreau can't even really talk about any of this stuff. Favreau and
Right.
Filoni can't. No one can go. And then that was the other thing too, is like people like, well, I know this is bullshit because there's a strike and you can't write, you can't even edit. It's like, bitch, you fucking probably know that because I told you. But we were the ones talking about it,
and we literally said this, for months.
Yeah. But
and yesterday we said it too. This was because of the time crunch. They're assuming when the strike ends, there's just not going to be enough time to prep. You know, an 8 episode, 6 episode season. So what do? You know, like that's the whole point, guys. Like no,
or 6 hours of live action, and then another 6 hours of live action, and then a movie. Like, no, guys, that's not why they're talking about this. But I've been, like I said, I'm of the opinion that if that story, that's real. If it happens or not is something I don't know. It's something I say, like, I'm kind of doubtful it happens, but I think it becomes a likely path if this strike goes on beyond October. And for the record, they're not talking until October, so that way they lose their homes. And the writers that I know are like, we're going to keep voting to keep this going. And if we lose our homes, why the fuck wouldn't we keep? Like, they are setting up a situation that it's like a standoff. It's a Mexican standoff, essentially. You know?
I was up late last night finishing, a crazy spread that sometimes I dig my own holes, right?
Close your legs, buddy. Close your legs.
Yeah, it's a comic book page spread. And so I was finishing that up. So I was up late, which I normally not, but I sent it to my buddy who's a cinematographer out there, Hollywood, and works so bad. He's right now he's taking restaurant commercials. And if you don't know, restaurant commercials have to be shot at night when it's closed.
Oh,
because because you have to have everything spotless and clean, and then you have to have every setup and extras. So it's like that's a 3-night overnight shoot. You're working to get this stuff, and it's like not the typical hours for shooting things. It's complicated and everything else, and so it's like work is tough too, man. Like take what you can get.
Yeah. The channel gives a £5.99 super chat. I think that's pounds. Thank you so much for that. And it says, who is actually overseeing all the different plot lines and all the Star Wars shows and movies? Wonder if they really know where the Mando movie will land. Yeah, so that's kind of that's how so the Lucasfilm Story Group, when you really get down to it, is a peer review group. It's not like they do planning. They can plan out stories, they can plan out events and how things will go, but they're also kind of critical readers. And they also take in the bigger picture in those critical reads. of what happens. And people like Dave Filoni and are on the Lucasfilm Story Group. So he's able to, for instance, share what his plans, where he's going with it, with his stuff. But like in that instance, people aren't really touching the era of post Return of the Jedi. They're leaving that to Favreau and Filoni. So it's kind of like not the biggest issue in certain ways. But if, let's say, the guys in Skeleton Crew had some weird idea, something that they wanted to do, they wanted Mon Mothma and, Admiral Akbar to show up or something, right? Well, they probably would have to talk to Filoni and Favreau, and then they would figure out what was going on in that era. So loosely, everybody knows everything at this point.
Right.
People are experts in Star Wars. They know all of the content as best as someone can. And then you have like your people like Matt Martin and Pablo Hidalgo who are also like nerdy consumers of that content. So they're like, I'm actually, they're able to do that stuff for them. And that's why people are like, why is so-and-so on the Lucasfilm Story Group? And it's like, because it's a peer review group. It has nothing to do with necessarily how well they write anything, as much as how well they can critique things. You end up with, certain eras are more defined by other people, that like the High Republic era, for instance, different set of people who know the specifics, but people like Filoni know all of it, So yeah. So anyways, you wonder if they really know where the Mando movie will land. And this is just my opinion, because obviously they haven't filmed anything yet until stuff starts going into production and filming starts happening. It's all conjecture on my part. Since we don't see Thrawn leading the First Order, I think it's safe to say Thrawn's death is where the movie will land and end. And if you mean like the release date, it's supposed to be that middle one. It's supposed to be that middle date. But I think the other option, though, is that movie assimilates. They don't do that Mando season, and they don't do the Ahsoka thing, and then it just assimilates the plot beats in the first act. Opening crawls some of that. Maybe they make the season after. I mean, I didn't hear this, but that's completely, I think, on the table, that you could do that. You could do the opening crawl, that stuff, and you could, and then make the seasons that led up to it after as prequels, and then move the next seasons after it. I think that's completely. Star Wars has never been known for being chronological in terms of its release, I would say. So I think that's possible, but it's definitely a hard read. But thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it, and thank you to everyone who supported the channel today. It means a lot.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up, Jason.
We do.
We got 6 minutes. We got 6 minutes here.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I think that's pretty much it. Oh, so okay. Scott TV says Haunted Mansion better than expected. It's just okay though. Homage to the ride, characters to care about, and some good jokes. Still messy and uneven though. Yeah, I have a friend who loves the Haunted Mansion. Like I was at D23 with him, and he was like looking at like the button down shirts and stuff, like really into it. The person saw it was just like, no, it was not good.
I know. I told you Guillermo del Toro was developing that film for them for years, and they just didn't want they wanted something more family friendly. They got it. I'm like, just let Guillermo do it, man. Just, like you already made your family friendly Haunted Mansion movie 20 years ago, so just let the auteur do his thing,
Well, yeah, I mean, why not? But also, like, I think if you just stick to the conventions of what the ride does, if you don't go beyond the horror of the ride itself, you're in bounds.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're adding like pints of blood and stuff, yeah, maybe that's not for Disney and for the Haunted Mansion movie. But I mean,
but they did Pirates of the Caribbean without blood. Think about that, So it can be done.
Yeah, it could definitely be done. As it true says, EA just said Jedi Survivor was behind their strongest Q1 ever.
Sure, and they have 8 patches, and none of them have addressed performance yet. So get on the performance.
The game runs great for me.
Well, I got friends who are out their fucking mind for not working so well. So
yeah, on Xbox, I suggest playing on Xbox. It works great. But yeah, I know. Caleb says, Caleb, before we go, when did they decide to make this whole crossover build-up thing with Favreau and Filoni since Mando season 1? Yeah, I don't think it was like directly like, hey, everybody, here we go. Like, you guys, here's the key.
They watched the show. They watched the show, Jason. They heard me. They heard me for 2 years saying what they should be doing. And then they said, no, like Tracy Morgan and Kyle. No. And then, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make a new trilogy, so they made 3 different films instead, right?
And Caleb says, I feel like there's been a lot of roadblocks in the whole Favreau Filoni storyline. First, Gina Carano interrupting the plan, if there was one. The Gina Carano thing is like I said, it's a bit over. It became a bigger story because of a series of leaks, and none of those leaks were correct. For the record, that said that show was about Gina Carano. And the thing I have always been told is that Gina Carano would have been in it, but Gina Carano was not the lead in it. It would be an overstatement. But then they decided to kind of throw the show away because it wasn't coming to life as well, and it was going to get this whole political, Daily Wire was just going to go after it and stuff like that if they had done it, I guess. So they
don't
moved,
worry,
moved away.
She'll be in The Sound of Freedom too. You can watch her there.
Yeah. This is cool with Cop Jesus. But anyways, point being, I mean that's like the problem with doing things like on television, the serialized stuff. I mean, it's always a hurdle. There's always like, and then we had to recast this actor, or so and so died, and like we've seen that with the Ahsoka series right now. One of the main actors has died, so it's definitely interesting how they, and interesting to watch them deal with it. But
right.
but all of that said, I don't think any of these hurdles have been completely as bad as stuff I've seen Filoni deal with before, like when he went from the Clone Wars to Rebels, and the budget he had to deal with to like tell the epic finally they're like, tell the story you want to tell to some extent. He didn't get it all on his own, but then they took all the money away, and a lot of the money went to the talent behind the scenes that he was working with too. So it was fucked. So anyways, where he's at now seems to be like a better place in terms of the hurdles and stuff. And
he died.
And I believe in Filoni.
He went to a better place.
Well, the thing about Filoni though is like, I can't think of something that he brought to the table first. And I keep seeing Filoni bring things that he's already done. Like, I like the movie Predator, and then he brings out the Clone Wars, and then he goes on and he brings, you know what I mean? And it's like the same kind of thing. And it's like, on one hand, you go, well, that's what George did. But George was George kind of had the original idea and sort of a genius that was his genius, was to bring all of that stuff together. And then after that, that's just what everybody's always been doing. Now, Filoni's good at it, but I feel like every time Filoni changes mediums, he kind of gets to redo those ideas, and then we clap for him. I'm curious I think Filoni has a good movie in him. I think he does come out and he does bring all of that stuff to live action, and we clap for him. My question is when we get to the second, third film from Filoni, and he's like, is there a vision there, or is there an original voice there? Because after all of these years, it's, I think, a fair question. But I'm rooting for him, just to be clear. I'm on his side. I want him to prosper. I would love for him to be like, yeah, I do. Here it is. But so far, it's kind of a hard read, So
it's
anyways,
the 4th movie you gotta watch out for, Jason. We're gonna put nipples on Grogu.
Oh no.
He's gonna be a big man, a little big Yoda, right? We're gonna grow him up. He's gonna get a soul patch. I can't wait to add the soul patch on him, Jason. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. He would look cool with like a stripe style mohawk though, wouldn't he? Like a little.
Oh my God, I'm gonna write that down. That's a good idea. Hold on. I got to go to a meeting and talk about 6 more films. I'll be back.
All right, see you later. Strike again. All right, well.
Yeah. What if they say no AI, but we're gonna just make Filoni work forever? Like he has to just, he can't even sleep. He just has to keep cranking these out like a mangaka artist, right? Like a manga artist, right? Until he dies.
Yeah. I hope they work that. I hope they work out like the rules of using AI in a really fair way. Because I could see somebody like Filoni using AI to write and previs his stuff, get it done faster and get it done like more how he wants to. But I just hope that they're like, yeah, you can do that, but you can't actually use the shots in the show. And then that allows them just to maybe.
Here's where AI could be useful, right? Mm-hmm. That it gets, because human error is always going to occur, but you can say things like, make sure I don't repeat the same like word in a joke twice, like, sometimes when people are saying things and sometimes they say things twice, like, the Sith needs the Sith and the Sith. And you're like, why did they say that 3 times?
Kiss my ass.
And you go, well, that's what copy editors for. I'm like, I've never met a copy editor who caught everything, So if you had something internally that could help you dot I's and cross T's and then check against maybe somehow it could check against a timeline. Does this fit in the time? But I just don't think any of this stuff works that way. I just think it literally is very simple. It's all stable diffusion. So if you want something like a script, it'll create something like a script. But how is it supposed to create a script that makes use of like 3 locations or is aware of, there's so many things that go into production on a script that aren't story and lore, folks. It's not timeline and lore and character. A lot of it is how many scenes you got here, how many places, where can you do this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like that. It's just not unlimited. You can't have unlimited planets and unlimited scenes and unlimited bits. Everything has to be brought down and figured out. And so making a production ready script is something that really at this point only a human can do. And a human with experience, by the way, and that's when I hear stories about, like
a lot of guys on Reddit told me they could do a better job than Rian Johnson. So
I know. They can't even make a good Reddit post, but they're working on that Star Wars, trilogy. But when I hear stories about like a director doesn't understand visual effects, that's sort of what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Like understanding the scenes that are how they're going to integrate into the back end of the film and how it's supposed to come together. Very technical. Very few people. That's why having places, I'm going to bring up James Cameron again, but a lot of people went to the Roger Corman's studio, including Ron Howard. And that system of where you do a little bit of everything. And even when you're directing, you're still kind of doing 3 jobs while you're directing, meant you really kind of understood all the different positions that needed to occur, and then trial by fire, the ones who can withstand it survived, and that's sort of what I'd hope, not in like such a brutal way, but I'd hope that's what Lucasfilm and Disney Marvel or whatever were doing with the TV side, was building a little mini studio system within a studio system to train people on that. So they're not stuck with, well, do we get Michael Bay or do we get the indie person who's never done anything? Like, that extreme, right?
Yeah.
That you can actually say, here's how it's kind of done. You can experience, you can work in here. An episode of a show doesn't have to be as good as Barbenheimer, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this epic cinematic event, but you can get to that epic cinematic event if you give them a chance to positively fail or succeed, in a way that's financially, responsible, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's happening. There's all on Filoni now. He's going to track all the movies. Poor guy.
All right, everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow, probably about the same time. And, if you have any questions or whatever, you can send them our way in the comments. Or you can
bro-splain me.
Bro-splain
just tell them, say, bro, Rob can't carry the show. Can't carry the show, Rob. Can't carry the show. Just talk about TVs and games and books and movies. Don't talk about Star Wars on your Star Wars.
Can't do it. But, all right.
I'll just make up news, just making up Star Wars news.
Here, I'm gonna give Rob this one so Rob could cleanse this palate.
To Alec Guinness, who's very, very English and has a very, very English accent. It's very interesting because he actually pulls it off pretty well. Because his real accent is way different.
Oh, he's got that video.
Yeah, he does. He sounds like Fat Bastard.
Sounds like fat bastard. Yeah, sounds like fat bastard. Sounds like fat bastard. Sounds like fat bastard. Sounds like fat bastard.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go. It's not about spaceships.